Hey everyone, hope you're all doing okay this week. Yeah. So this week we're talking about tough love, the love that no one likes. Tough love speaks to truth. It resolves truth, if you will. Instead of trying to hide things, instead of trying to, put things under the rug, tough love brings the truth out and addresses it in a way that needs to happen. Now, when we picture Jesus, many people think of, very wise, very loving and caring, let the children come. No one really pays too much attention of when he gets mad, righteous anger. And he does quite often, right? I mean, think of in the temple when he overthrows all the money tables. That's just like one example. And so I'm going to go through some of Jesus's intense moments where he's rebuking the Pharisees. And I want you to take in consideration that even though he's rebuking, he still loves them. He still cares for them. He still wants them to take a look at what's going on in their hearts and address what's going on there to make a difference, to begin to change. And he does it with a little bit of tough love. And so I'm taking a look today at Matthew chapter 23, verses 13 to 33. And good luck. Enjoy. It's kind of scary, okay? What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, hypocrites! For you shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You won't go in yourselves, and you don't let others enter either. What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, you Pharisees, hypocrites! For you cross land and sea to make one convert, and then you turn that person into twice the child of hell that you yourselves are. Blind guides, what sorrow awaits you! For you say that it means nothing to swear by God's temple, but that it is binding to swear by the gold in the temple. Blind fools, which is more important, the gold in the temple? The gold or the temple that makes the gold sacred. And you say that to swear by the altar is not binding, but to swear by the gifts on the altar is binding. How blind! For which is more important, the gifts on the altar or the altar that makes the gift sacred? When you swear by the altar, you are swearing by it and everything on it. And when you swear by the temple, you are swearing by it and by God who lives in it. And when you swear by heaven, you are swearing by the throne of God and by God who sits on that throne. What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are careful to tithe even the tiniest income from your herb gardens, but you ignore the more important aspects of the law: justice, mercy, and faith. Oh, you should tithe, yes, but do not neglect the more important things. Blind guides, you strain your water so that you won't accidentally swallow a small gnat, and you swallow a camel instead. What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, hypocrites! For you're so careful to clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but inside you are filthy, full of greed and self-indulgence. And it goes on and on. I'm going to stop there. I wrote a whole bunch more. At the end, he says, but in saying that, you testify against yourselves that you are indeed the descendants of those who murdered the prophets. Go ahead. Finish what your ancestors started. Snakes, son of vipers, how will you escape the judgment of hell? So, there is no way to sugarcoat this. Jesus was addressing what was going on. Some of the laws that they were so nitpicky on, and they weren't addressing the things in their hearts, the things of the world around them, to love on people, to show mercy, to have justice. And he addresses it, but not in a loving and tender and kind way. And those people listening this morning that are tender-hearted, that are super caring, you're shuddering right now. You got shivers going up and down your spine because sometimes there are people who avoid conflict, who in order to keep the peace, avoid truth. And that's a dangerous thing. So sometimes we need to show tough love, just as Jesus did. So it can actually turn dangerous, hurtful, when you get offended, when you get hurt by something, or when you see something that's inappropriate and it needs to change, something needs to happen, but you hold it inside because it begins to fester, it begins to grow, and then you'll unleash it in other and various ways that aren't healthy. Truth needs to win out. Truth needs to come out and speak and address what's going on, not hiding things under the rug, right? What's more important, speaking truth, addressing situations, or peacekeeping, right? Sometimes I feel like we hang on to peacekeeping. I don't want any conflict. I don't want, all the frustration and all the emotions that come with speaking truth sometimes. And so I'd rather just keep the peace. This world thrives on peacekeeping and being in a comfort zone, right? You look at any commercial and it's all about you need to be comfortable, right? Don't address the situation in the room. You need to be comfortable. Life needs to be more comfortable. Avoid conflict of any kind. And we're bombarded with that. And that's not truth. We need to speak truth. Think of a man. A husband who works immensely. Maybe they're going on hard times, and he does whatever he can to help provide and support his family more and more and more. Like in his heart, he's not doing anything wrong. He's trying to save his family from, with finances and working hard. Except that in the meantime, he has cut himself out as a husband. He doesn't act as a husband. He has no time to act as a husband. Or how about as a father? He doesn't have time to truly be a father to his children. He is so caught up in just being the worker, the one role he believes that is more important than everything else, that he doesn't even realize that his relationship with his children is lost, that his relationship with his wife is deteriorating more and more every single day. And so the wife finally calls him out on it and says, hey, you've been neglecting me and your children. You're never here. And of course, he blows up, angry and just, but I provide, but I do this and I do that, and it's never enough. And he explodes and he walks away. And the wife doesn't shut down. She doesn't say, oh my goodness, now he yelled at me. This is the end of, we should just hide this under the rug. I will never bring this up again. It exploded. Let's just avoid. No. She sticks to her guns. And he knows when he goes to his room, when he goes for his walk, and he looks inside, that his wife is right. And if she sticks to her guns, truth has been told. Tough love is what's beginning to happen. And because of it, a resolution can begin to take place, right? If she just stays quiet and is like, oh my goodness, this is conflict. I don't want that. Let's just stop. Then he's going to continue what he's doing and he's going to lose his family. He's going to lose his wife. He's going to lose his children. But if she sticks to her guns and he's able to truly reflect on what's going on, he'll realize she's right. And he needs to change. He needs to be more of a husband and he needs to be more of a father before he loses everything. So peace at any cost is a lie. It's something Satan likes because it's not peace that God is like talking about. It's closer to tolerance, because true peace is addressing truth and then resolving it. That is true peace, and peace that comes from God, doing it in a godly manner, right? Everything else seems to be closer along the lines of tolerance. Oh, we're going to tolerate. I'll allow this, and all to avoid conflict or to have comfort. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25 says this, and I love because it addresses a lot of what I'm talking about. I guess the Bible is talking about. So stop telling lies. Let us tell our neighbors the truth, for we are all parts of the same body. And don't sin by letting anger control you. Don't let the sun go down while you are still angry, for anger gives a foothold to the devil. So I like how it starts off and says, don't tell lies, right? Speak truth. And then right after that, it says, and don't let sin control you by allowing your anger to control you. Don't sin by letting anger control you. There we go. So it's interesting that it says speak truth, but it's almost as if it's addressing and saying, listen, when you speak truth, anger is going to bubble. It's going to want to come out. It's going to, how can you speak this of me? How can you, and it says, don't let that anger control you. Resolve it, because it gives a foothold to the devil. Seek true peace. Seek truth. And tough love has to speak to the situation at hand. Earlier in Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 15, it says this: instead, we speak the truth in love. There is the key. Speak truth in love. When you're speaking truth, it's not like, hey, you do this all the time and you do that, and how could you do this to me? No, it's, hey, this hurts when you do this and this, right? It's speaking in love, right? So instead, we will speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more Christ-like, who is the body of the church. So it's true, when we speak truth, right, when we need to have some tough love, it is still love. It's not just tough, it's love, doing it out of a place of love because you care, right? And you don't need to show tough love by yelling and screaming. You can be very gentle in the way you articulate, the way you let it out, right? You can still be gentle, but have tough love and address truth. Think of a child who gets a bike and learns to ride their bike. And they're going up and down the driveway, and they're super excited. And mom comes out, son, I am so proud of you. Daughter, I am so proud of you. You're having so much fun. This is awesome. And then mom goes back inside, and then son or daughter decides, well, it's time I test out my new wheels on the road. Right? The driveway's just too small. And so they hop on the bike and they go onto the road. And of course, a car happens to be driving by and they slam on the brakes, screeching halt. Mom looks out the window, what just happened? Comes running out there, picks up the kid, bike and all, and yelling, screaming, how could you do this? What are you doing? Goes running inside. And she needs to do, at least at that point in time, a little bit of yelling and screaming and maybe a little bit of fear of God in the child. And then afterwards, as she calms down, goes and talks to him and says, and the kid's a little confused. What happened to nice, mom? Right? But she needs to, in that moment, show some tough love. Son, daughter, what you did was wrong. You didn't listen to me when I said don't go out on the road. This is why. Your life was at stake. And that's just it. That's something that we don't always realize, is that sometimes our lives are at stake. And if you don't come out with tough love and address truth, an entire life could just go. I mean, if someone's being irresponsible with their finances, with their time, resources, with relationships, and the decisions they're making in their relationships, if no one's going to come out and address and say, hey, is what you're doing godly? Are you spending your resources, what God has given you, are you spending it the right way? Right? And if no one is willing to speak truth and address it in some tough love, right, then you can just go down into a horrible, dark place, right? We don't always realize it, but tough love sometimes is needed to save us from life and death decisions. And I mean spiritually, okay? Maybe even physically in life. All right. Matthew chapter 18, verse 5 says this: if another believer sins against you, go privately and point out the offense. So you get hurt, you go and talk about it. You say, hey, it hurt me when you said this. And this is why. This is why it bothered me. Let's make this right. Excuse me. If another believer sins against you, go privately and point out the offense. If the other person listens and confesses it, you've won the person back. You've saved them from something horrible. So you need to go privately. You need to go and speak to people, speak about the offenses, speak about what they're doing in their lives, because you can win them back, right? Me personally, and this is something I used to do with my family all the time, we used to go for a drive. We used to put some dance music on and pick all side roads that not very many people drive on, and they'd have lots of hills, and we'd go, it was like a roller coaster, go up and down. And so during tense and rough moments, it'd be like, you know what, everyone? We're going for a drive. That's it. Everyone into the vehicle, and we would just drive and let the music just do its thing. And then after a while, turn down the music, and you'd hear the occasional wee as you go up and down the hills, right? But eventually we turn down the music and say, okay, this is what's going on. Without yelling, without screaming, we would say, hey, we need to have this conversation, and we need to do something about what's going on. We need to make a resolution, a choice, and we need to figure this out. And we're going to continue this drive because we don't want things to fester. We don't want things to get worse. And so we're going to make things better. And by the time we were done our drive, we picked up some ice cream. It was a great way to do it because at the end you got ice cream, right? And then you felt so much better because you both agreed, or whoever was in the vehicle, kids included, right? You all agreed on a resolution going forward and how to handle the situation. And those talks meant a lot. But it was still done in tough love. It's something that needed to be addressed, that you didn't just hide away. Now, I wanted to give you some practical steps that you can take in approaching tough love. First and foremost, prepare yourself. Prepare your heart, prepare what you're going to say. Now, I'm not talking about the ammunition that you're putting in your machine gun or the bazooka you're putting on your shoulder to fire away of all the things someone else has done. And, don't start with the words, you've done this, you never do this, accusatory. Start with the way you feel, right? Get a clear grasp of the way you feel and the situation that you want to address. You see, when you start with accusational things, right, then the other person is just going to become defensive. It's just going to be like, yeah, but, and right? But if you start with, I feel, you can't argue with someone's feelings, right? So I feel hurt when this and this happens. I put in effort and it just defeats me when this and this situation arises. Because when you're speaking with feelings, instantly the person's not going to attack you and your feelings, right? But if you go with just all kinds of incidences and things they've done wrong, they become instantly defensive. So prepare yourself, but in a gentle way, okay? Make sure that when you're about to, talk about things that bother someone else, that you're not just pointing out the speck in their eye, but you're free to address the plank in your own eye. Say, hey, sometimes I fail when this and this happens, and I know that I react poorly when this happens, but this is the way I feel because of this. Anyways, so just make sure you take accountability for your own actions as well, right? Pick your time and place appropriately, right? Coming home from work and your spouse is cooking, the kids are screaming and yelling, and they've challenged each other to a duel to the death, and dinner needs to be prepared, and there's laundry machine going, and taking that time to say, hey, I have some grievances I need to air out. That's pick your time and place very carefully, a place that feels safe. Okay, and like I said, the promise of ice cream at the end is always a bonus. So prepare yourself. Okay, make sure you're also addressing the speck in your own eye or the plank in your own eye. Take accountability for your actions. Pick your time and place carefully. Okay, and pray. Start the conversation with prayer. Don't exclude God from the conversation that you're going to have. So pray together at the beginning, pray in the middle, pray at the end. When there's tension, pray. Just include God in all of this, okay? So number 4, pray. Keep God in it. And number 5, finally, invite dialogue. Some people, they just shut down, especially when they know they're in the wrong. That's it. I'm defeated. I suck. I am a slug, worm of the earth. I don't deserve any, but invite dialogue. You don't want to just shut people down. You want them to be able to speak what's in their heart, pay attention to their body language, and learn to listen to, right? Learn to listen to what's going on in their hearts, what's going on in their life, because in the end, you're looking for a restoration of that peace, true peace, from truth. Okay, not just avoiding conflict, right? A true resolution so that you can both grow and work at things together. I mean, most people, when you talk about what they look for in a friend, in a partner, is truth, honesty, discussing what's going on always, because with that as a foundation, you guys can grow together, no matter what choices or things that you go through. So tough love, it saves marriages. It saves children. It saves churches. It saves friendships. It's when people are willing to discuss what is going on, the feelings beneath the surface, instead of just hiding everything underneath, right? Jesus let loose, right? And he did it it was tough love. He needed to really douse them with truth, because even if they were angry at that moment, and there will be times that when you're addressing truth, people will get angry and walk away, but afterwards they will reflect on what's in their heart. And then they have a decision to make, whether to continue on that way or to make a change. So take a peek at what's going on in your heart, both between you and the person that you're addressing. All right, Hebrews chapter 12, 7 says this: as you endure this divine discipline, remember that God is treating you as his own children. Who ever heard of a child who's never disciplined by its father? If God doesn't discipline you as he does all his children, it means that you are illegitimate and are not really his children at all. Since we respected our earthly fathers who disciplined us, shouldn't we submit even more to the discipline of the Father of our spirits and live forever? For our earthly fathers disciplined us for a few years, doing the best that they knew how. But God's discipline is always good for us, so that we might share in his holiness. No discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. It's painful. If you want to highlight that part, underline that part, no discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. Okay? It's painful. But afterwards, there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. So take a new grip with your tired hands and strengthen your weak knees. Mark out a straight path for your feet so that those who are weak and lame will not fall but become strong. No discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. It's painful, but afterwards there is a peaceful harvest of right living. So tough love, it's painful. It hurts. But afterwards, the healing that it causes, instead of hiding things under a rug. Have you ever done that? The rug starts to get bubbles in it, okay? It just continues to get all kinds of nasty stuff under it. And it's just not good. You're not actually solving anything. You're just ultimately growing a bigger pile to deal with later on, right? But cleaning, it's a little bit painful, but it causes right living afterwards. It's like a scab, right? If it's like infected, or if you don't address what's going on, it can get infected and it can get worse and worse and worse, right? And it can spread, and it's just all kinds of bad and nasty. But when you address it and you cause healing, then it can heal properly, and then it'll be stronger than it ever was before. And that's what we go for. That's what we're trying to do with tough love. Next week, I will talk about tender love. I guess maybe the opposite of the tough love I'm talking this week. But they both go hand in hand. Tough love comes from a place because it's love. It all boils down to that, doesn't it? It is love, and you want right living and healing, and to push forward together with honesty. And you should always be able to be honest with each other in all relationships. So again, there's a reason why it says it's painful. God shows tough love and he disciplines, and yet it makes us stronger. He does it to make us stronger, and he does it because he loves us. Tough love exposes the issue instead of letting it fester. It brings it out to the open. It causes it to hurt sometimes, but then it can heal properly. It allows for a stronger bond in the end. It leads to a peaceful harvest of right living. And it's easy to fall into the trap of offense, to hold on to something that can ultimately destroy us. But we need to begin to train ourselves in speaking truth with each other so that we can grow right. Will you all bow your heads with me? Father God, I just pray that you make us not just avoid conflict for conflict's sake, God, but that we're able to see truth for what it is and speak it, God. That when we're in a rough place, or when other people are in rough places, that they're making poor decisions, that we can approach them and say, hey, out of a place of love, God, teach us that love. Show us that deep and incredible love. But also may we hold other people responsible for their actions in tough love, caring, because we look to redeem. We look to grow stronger bonds with you and with each other, God. We are all one body, your church under you, God. Strengthen us. Father God, if there is conflict in our lives that we're avoiding, God, give us wisdom to address it appropriately. Give us the right tools to use. And I just pray for those people that, realize something right now in their hearts that they need to speak to someone that's important to them, God, that you give them wisdom in the way they're going to do it. Train us up, God, in this so that we are able to grow stronger and do this in a healthy way that promotes love and depth and relationship and truth above all. Father God, continue to discipline us. Show us your way of doing things, God, the right way of doing things, God. And may we continue to chase after righteousness. Father God, protect my people, watch over them, help them to grow spiritually mature, grow bonded together, God. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Everyone said, amen. Well, God bless everyone. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll see you all on Wednesday as we do a devotional. God bless. Bye-bye.